Reese Pieces, Nissan GTR, cereal. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were just naming our favorite things. These are my favorite players at every position going into draft season. Let's go. Let's talk about everyone's darling at the QB position. Let's talk about CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud has on average, has a fifth round ADP and the fifth quarterback taken off the board. That right there alone should be a steal in itself, but let's go deeper. CJ Stroud had over 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions last year, and that was without some of his major weapons for huge chunks of the season. Nico Collins only played 15 games. Noah Brown only played 10 games. Tank Dell only played 11 games. And that's not including CJ Stroud himself only playing 15 games. If he plays the full season, all 17 games, there's no telling on what he can do. It's limitless, especially with the weapons he has around him. Tank Dell's coming back, should be fully healthy. Nico Collins had a breakout year last year. They signed Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon. You still got Dalton Schultz. You still got guys like Robert Woods, Noah Browns, complementary pieces on the outside. He's got weapons that can win at every position. And that's what you love to have as a quarterback. Let's look at the first 4 weeks. He starts off with the Colts, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Jags. I'm not scared of any one of those matchups, and CJ Stroud won't be either. He's going to start off strong for your fantasy team, and those easy matchups gives perfect opportunities to build chemistry with his new teammates. He's not, CJ Stroud isn't the Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson tier where you have to draft him in the second, third round. In the fifth round, you really should have your starting lineup already filled out. You should have 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and with that fifth round pick, you can go and grab your quarterback and round everything out. So you don't have to worry about passing on certain players or giving up value at the running back position or wide receiver position because you want to draft a high-end quarterback. You don't have to worry about that with CJ Stroud. Another thing that works in his favor is luckily for the Texans, their offensive coordinator didn't get a head coaching job in this past offseason. So they're going to be the second year in the system. Again, he has all his weapons back, and that's including Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon, going to be firing on all cylinders and should be one of the top offenses in the NFL. Obviously, that's good for NFL purposes, but it's even better for fantasy purposes. This is the offense that can make Stevie Wonder look good. CJ Stroud is going to dice him up. And why is that? The Texans only gave up 47 sacks last year. To put that in perspective, the Giants led the NFL with 85 sacks, almost double. That's why Daniel Jones had no chance, and that's why CJ Stroud won Rookie of the Year. Again, the offense is going to build within a second year and can only get better. So I think that passing on CJ Stroud is going to be a mistake. So make sure you draft CJ Stroud in the 5th round. Next, let's talk about James Cook. James Cook had 300 opportunities last year in 2023, and there's no reason to think that he shouldn't go up from there. The Bills are second in vacated targets in the NFL for the 2024 season, and that's including losing his 2 starting wide receivers. Why would James Cook not get an uptick in volume in the receiving game? How the Bills finished last season is hopefully how they're going to continue this season. They finished 6-1 down the stretch when they decided to start rushing the ball more aggressively. They averaged 150 yards rushing on those last 7 games. And again, who do you think that benefits? Yes, Josh Allen, but obviously James Cook. James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and Darrington Evans is going to play on probably about 80% of snaps. And we've seen what he can do last year with that workhorse role. Again, toward the second half of the season, he was a top 5 back. Like I said, the Bills lost their 2 starting wide receivers. They lost not only targets, but production. Now on the roster, their top wide receiver hasn't even gained more than 875 receiving yards, which means they're unproven and probably untrustworthy. But you know who he does trust? His RB1, James Cook. James Cook was an RB1 last year, finished top 12 at the position. He's going to get an uptick in value, and is going to be the number 1 running back in a top 10, maybe top 5 offense of the NFL. And he's being drafted as the RB14 in the 4th round. Make it make sense. If James Cook goes for 2,000 yards all-purpose this year, it would not be a surprise to me, and it shouldn't be a surprise to you. At the tight end position, I want to talk about Kyle Pitts. Yes, I understand he's done you wrong in the past. He's done me wrong in the past. He's probably done everyone wrong in the past. But that's good, and that works in his favor in 2024 because everyone's tired of drafting him. He's going to continue to slide right into your lineups. He's going between the 6th and 7th round as a tight end 7. And again, yes, I understand he hasn't really had a great season since his rookie year, but look who he had to play with. Matt Ryan, at the end of his career, on the verge of retirement, Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota, and Desmond Ridder. He hasn't really had the chance. Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback he's ever played with, and we're going to see what he can do once he has competent quarterback play. Again, he's playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with. The coach who thinks Jonnu Smith should get playing time over Kyle Pitts got fired, and his new offensive coordinator played 11 personnel on 93% of snaps last season. 11 personnel one receiver, one tight end, three receivers. Again, one tight end, Kyle Pitts. He's going to be that number one tight end. And if you don't think Kirk Cousins can support a tight end one, look no further than TJ Hockenson. He was the afterthought in Detroit, and once he got to the Vikings, he became a top 5 tight end. In 2022, he averaged a little over 8.5 targets. In 2023, he averaged about 8.5 targets for Kirk Cousins. He's going to throw him the ball. He loves throwing to the tight end. Atlanta also picked up his 5th-year option, which means $10 million guarantee, which also means they believe in him and they think that he's going to be a staple in their offense moving forward. This is also not a great year to punt the tight end position. You really have the top 7 guys in no particular order: Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride. If you don't get one of those 7, good luck to you at that position. You might as well play Taysom Hill. I forgot about Mark Andrews. Don't forget about Mark Andrews. You know who's another player you shouldn't forget about? George Pickens. In a year where the Pittsburgh offense combined, all the quarterbacks playing combined, threw for 3,300 yards and 13 touchdowns, George Pickens, who wasn't even the wide receiver 1 on the team, had 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns. He basically had a third of the production in the wide receiver room. The leading receiver in the offense for the past 5 years is gone, and their third leading receiver was their running back. Why would George Pickens not have a great year? George Pickens in the 5th round is straight criminal. Whether it's Russ or Justin Fields, the Pittsburgh offense can only get better this year. There's no way they could be any worse. They were 28th in scoring offense last year, and I'm surprised they weren't dead last. As bad as they were, George Pickens finished as the wide receiver 30 last year, and he's being drafted as the wide receiver 27. That's not that big of an uptick, in my opinion. The Steelers traded Deontay Johnson because they knew what they had with George Pickens, and they knew he can be the wide receiver 1 in the offense, and he's going to do just that. He shouldn't see any less than 140 targets, and that's at the minimum. Whether they're Russell Wilson targets or Justin Fields targets, they're going to be way better than Kenny Pickett targets. The Steelers offense is going to run through George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth. He is the alpha on that offense. And look at their early schedule. The Falcons, the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Colts to start the season. Now, one of those teams obviously stood out. Yes, I'm talking about the Falcons. Let's not forget Arthur Smith, who is the new OC in Pittsburgh, used to coach Atlanta last year and got fired. So don't think there's now going to be a little extra motivation in week 1, not only for Arthur Smith, but for George Pickens. I'm calling it right now. He's going 10 for 102, and he's going to be in my lineup. Is he going to be in yours? Now, if you're going RB strong in the beginning of the draft, which you should be doing, let's look at the 5th round wide receivers. Malik Neighbors, which means you have to trust Daniel Jones. Amari Cooper, which means you have to trust Deshaun Watson, and what is he going to be this year? Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews is the number 1, and at some point, Rashad Bateman is going to have to show something. And T. Higgins. Jamar Chase is the ball hog, and we've seen what a down year looks like for T. Higgins. The answer should be easy. It's George Pickens. I'm going to throw in a special bonus and say Calvin Ridley, especially with DeAndre Hopkins going down and not going to be ready for the start of the season, but you want to see where he falls at ADP coming in the draft season. Right now, he's a 7th round value, and obviously he's going to move up a little bit. But once he starts creeping into that 3rd and 4th round, I'm out. If he stays in that 5th, 6th, maybe 7th round even, I'll be in on Calvin Ridley. Now, those are the 4 players I'm going to leave every draft with. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in and following along with us on this journey to become the #1 fantasy football company in the state of Louisiana.